City. Welcome. Welcome to the Productivity and Wellness Masterclass for Teen Information Session. Just to be clear, in this information session, I'm going to guide you through what the 4-step system to boost confidence and focus and motivation in teens is and what you can expect from the event, which is on May the 3rd. It's hybrid. It's both in person as well as available online. In person in Kingston, Jamaica, at AC Hotel, May the 3rd, and online. So that is what we're going to be doing today. We have a tradition. I always think it's so cool, the power of connection, where we see where everyone is coming from. Where in the world are we today? We are in Atlanta, Georgia, Kingston, Jamaica, Guyana. Hello, welcome, Halifax, Canada, Clarendon, St. Catherine. I think we have all the parishes represented today. Montego Bay, St. Philip's, Barbados. In case you didn't know, I was born in Barbados. So that is the land of my birth. So I want to just give a very special welcome to all the Barbadian parents who are joining us today. Big up yourself. Of course, I'm Jamaican, so big up the whole Caribbean, big up the whole world, everybody who is here. St. Lucia, we've got more Barbados, which is so exciting. Trinidad and Tobago, I know we have a few people registered from the Bahamas, and we have Antigua as well, who parents who will be with us. So welcome. Really excited about today. This is our opportunity for us as parents to have a really frank conversation. And so the only rule that I have is that you keep the chat going. If you have questions, use the Q&A box, but keep the chat going. Let us know what resonates. We're in this together as parents. And so, you know, in a webinar style, it's always helpful for the speaker to know what is resonating with and what's hitting with the audience. So let me know in the chat what you're feeling, and of course you use the Q&A box because we'll have availability for questions. So the first thing that I want us to do today is really think about why we're here. I fully believe that intentionality is so important. There is a reason why you signed up for this session. You know, as parents, we want obviously what's best for our teens, but for me, it just feels like nowadays we really need the tools. We need the tools more than ever. And so I want you to think about what brought you here. And I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, think about how urgent you feel, whatever pain point you might be experiencing as a parent that has led you here, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, I need this help right now. I am in the midst of just needing to support my child. One parent type 10 million. Okay, we totally get that. And then 1 being, you know, I'm in here for preventative action. I'm here to learn. I don't need this right now, but I figure I might soon need it. We just want to get a sense of where everybody is. So some parents are on the end of needing to prepare, and most parents here are at a 8, 9, 10, a million. All right, no problem. Thank you for sharing that. Some people are right in the middle. Thanks for sharing that. I have a short exercise that I would like us to do right now. I want you to, just for a few seconds, just close your eyes and think about what you want for your teen. I want you to think about a day in the life of your teen experiencing everything that you would want for them. You know, from the minute they wake up in the morning, how do they feel? You know, what are they wearing? How do they move through the morning? What is their energy like? make this visualization as vivid as possible. So even the facial expression that they're wearing, having breakfast, going through that morning routine, what are they talking to you about? What's the tone? Moving through the day, you drive them to school, what's happening in the car, what's the conversation, what's the vibe? If you're dropping them off to school, what are they saying right before they get out of the car? In the evening when they're, before the evening, going through the school day, how are they moving through their classes, their lunchtime? In the evening when they're back to you and they're home and y'all are maybe having dinner, what are they telling you about their day? After dinner, what do they go off and do? What are they doing with the rest of that evening? And when they're going to bed, how are they feeling as their head hits that pillow and they close their eyes? How are they feeling as they fall asleep? All right, open your eyes. So I think it's so important, I'm not taking credit for this exercise. This was an exercise that I learned a few years ago from Oprah at one of her sessions. And I've asked you to picture your child because that's who we're talking about, but the exercise was to picture anybody you love and all the things you want for them and how you would want them to move through the day. And then when we opened our eyes, she asked us to flip that onto ourselves and make sure that the strength of that desire that we had for that loved one was also applied to ourselves. Because you can't control anybody else but you, and you have to fill up your cup and model what you want to see. And I think that's especially important for us as parents, right? There's a lot of modeling of behavior that has to happen, even as we tell our kids what we want them to do. They're really observing and learning a lot from us as parents in terms of how we handle ourselves and how we carry stress and how we deal with our lives. And that's not to just start the session off with pressuring the parents, right? But I think it's just so important for us to keep in mind. The other purpose of that visualization exercise, and you can tell me, so you're telling me a bit about what you're seeing now, but in your ideal vision for your child, you're seeing, you're probably seeing, Donica says so good, right? Stacey Ann says such a great exercise. Would you mind sharing in the chat what came up for you in terms of what you were wishing and hoping and desiring in this ideal visualization of your teen? What were some of the things that were coming up? Because if I'm seeing my child being confident, motivated, and expressive, love that. Kadian says more focused. She spoke up more. Fantastic. So I'm so happy you're here, because the 4-step system we're going to talk about is about confidence, focus, motivation. Being a self-starter, Nicole says. Wendy says happiness. Aladdin says discipline. This is where you have a plan, you follow through. Eating healthy, pleasant, and more intentional about the day. Smooth sailing day. Advocating for self. Waking up, pray, rereading notes, breakfast. Oh my goodness. Love this. I absolutely love this. Danica, you're actually speaking only to hosts and panelists, so you might want to speak to everyone, because I think they would really value your feedback. Positive attitude all around, relaxed and confident. All right, awesome. So thank you so much for sharing. You know, we have so much in common as parents in terms of what we desire for our kids, that I just think it's just so important for us to know as parents that we're not alone in this. And you're definitely at the right place. But again, remember, everything that you're wishing for your child, you want to try and turn that on yourself as well, and think about how can you develop and model and those things for your child. So everything begins and ends with systems right here, and we're gonna talk a bit about more about that. A lot of you who are here know me, and some of you do not. So let me introduce myself a bit better. I am the founder of AIM, as most of you know. I've been an educational consultant for the past 15 years, going on 16. And that means I have been coaching kids and their parents, actually. It's been part of the job. So I've really felt, you know, parent frustration. I have helped parents turn the trajectory of their kids' lives around. That's what we do at AIM, help them shift everything for their teens over and over. And then I've also worked with women, many of whom are also moms, for the past 7 years as a systems coach with a company that I founded called Goal Accelerator. So I am just a teacher and coach all around, and I love helping people to just live better lives and realize their potential. So I see many of Goal Accelerators here today who are now AIM moms, so special welcome. This is my little family that is now expanding. So we have an 18-year-old, she's my stepdaughter. She is currently in her first year of law school. We have a 13-year-old who's almost 14, who thinks we're totally ancient. We have a 12-year-old son, Joshua, and I'm now pregnant with twins. So we're about to be having 5 children. So I'm definitely a parent, put it that way. And as I said, 15 years of guiding students, adolescents, young people, and adults through systems to improve their lives. So I have a great deal of experience with all of these areas. And I know for sure that a lot of the problems that we face comes down to systems-based solutions. So that's why you are here. Thank you very much for the congratulations. Okay, so I want to share a little bit about mornings, what mornings used to look like in my house. And this is a very simple example before we get into the deeper stuff. But mornings, and you can test, give me an amen if you can relate as parents to just how sometimes mornings can feel extremely chaotic with you yelling at your child or children every single morning, like Groundhog Day, to get out of the house. They're running late, they're forgetting things, and then you're all late, and then there's traffic, and then everybody is vexed, and it throws you off, and it doesn't help the relationship, and you just want to run out of your own skin. Exactly, Kadian. So it sounds on the surface like it might be minor, but parents who have experienced this agony understand that it's not minor, and it was really affecting my quality of life. And I don't want to I don't want us to start off every morning with me screaming at you, my poor neighbors, but also, just for every single reason. And so as a systems coach, I was like, okay, what do I need to do about this? Because if this is a recurring problem, that means there's the systems, basically the systems equation says 1, 2, 3, 4 equal result. So every undesirable result that you're getting is preceded by some steps. Now, what we're accustomed to doing is fixing the problem when the problem arises. Like, no, we need to drive faster, or we need to find a shortcut, or we cuss them off and make them feel bad, so that they don't do it tomorrow. But that's just dealing with the problem when it is already a problem. The 1, 2, 3 is looking at what happens to actually cause this problem. And so I, looked into it from that perspective and realized, okay, a smooth morning really starts the night before. And so what I was doing was just asking my kids, do you have everything ready for school? The answer is always yes. Except that when it's actually time to leave, that's not the case. So instead of asking the question, do you have everything ready? I changed the question. And I sat with them to really understand what needs to be ready. So we have a checklist. So now we have a checklist. So I'm not asking you, do you have everything ready for school? I'm now going over this checklist with you in the night. No, I did that for a few months steady until we had it done. I don't currently do that right now. So sometimes system solutions look like introducing something for a period of time. So I introduced that for a period of time with my younger ones. The older one, no, just had a slow moving problem. So she just started to get left. So the younger ones had an organization problem, which we were able to tackle the night before. The older one had a move too slow problem. So you're going to feel the consequence and you have to wake up earlier. It's really just that simple. So I've found that implementing this solution now, we have smooth mornings. I'm not yelling at my kids to get out of the house anymore. They're sometimes in the car before me. I'm super impressed. And they just know, you have to get these things organized the night before. When you call me and tell me, oh, mommy, can you bring this to school? I say, no, you are going to face the consequence of your actions because I'm not bringing anything to school. So therefore, you remember, you have to work your checklist. So it also looks like not saving them from the consequence. But, the rushing in the morning and the yelling and the conflict is just bad for everybody. It's bad for your nervous system. It's a bad way for them to start the day. You don't get to do that bonding exercise in the car that you could be doing. So much is lost. So hot mess mornings went to smooth mornings by me implementing a combination of a checklist the night before, which I ran over with them until they learned it. Waking up the older one earlier because she had a different problem. And then when failure to adhere to the system resulted in a consequence that they had to experience and feel and did not like. So that's just a quick example. But to, go a little bit deeper, building with a personal example, building resilience for teens, a lot of the time looks like allowing them to experience the pain of the actions that they have taken at the same time playing that empathetic role. So for our stepdaughter, Ali, it was a years-long process of really building her backbone and pushing her to realize that she could do hard things. I think that a lot of times when our kids experience challenges and discomfort, or instinct as parents is to shield them from it, is very dangerous. A lot of parenting experts call that stealing their self-esteem in order to bolster ours, because it makes us feel better, but it doesn't actually serve them. So what she did, and we'll go through once I'm telling you how the system works, is she went from crying uncontrollably at the end of fifth form, right? Because she didn't get the places, she didn't get the awards she thought she knew that she could have. Because kids know their potential, and when you give them space to feel their feelings and you talk to them about it, you can hear so much from them. And so she felt terribly. And she went from, crying uncontrollably to placing regionally for Cape and winning all the awards at the end of Cape. crying to redo the SAT when she needed to redo the SAT to move in the score by over 400 points, crying to do add math and then CAPE math to get in straight A profiles in CAPE. Again, this was a process of just building her resilience to teach her and show her that she could do hard things. And so we're going to talk about what that looks like and how we actually teach that to teens in the masterclass. So that is in essence why you are here. We are going to go through that proven 4-step system that has just changed the game for not just, you know, Ali and my kids, and that I use with them, but also for the thousands of kids that we have had pass through AIM, and now we teach this as its own program. So you're here if your teen has ever felt overwhelmed or behind, or if you just know there's more inside them and you struggle to get through to them and they're not motivated and they're not, you know, they're having all these negative attitudes and they're being influenced by everything you wish they weren't. Take a deep breath, take a big exhale, because we're going to talk about it. So first of all, I need to outline the problem to you, because the problems that our kids face or the environment they're in is real. And we have to acknowledge that. You know, I know that we're impatient for them to change. And, you know, they need to do what they need to do, but we need to really understand what they are facing, because we were not facing these things when we were their age. And that is a fact. We might be facing them as adults, but we are adults. And our brain development at this stage is very different from teenage brain development, which we'll talk about. But they're digitally hacked. Digitally hacked is what has happened to many of our children. I know extreme cases and have coached parents who have lost their child basically to, you know, YouTube and to specific YouTube influences that are, you know, completely maladaptive. And so these are the risks that are being faced. Social media is shaping their worth. I mean, it is shortening attention spans. You know, it's flooding their minds constantly with unrealistic content. The brain development where they are at as teens is just not ready or able to even distinguish a lot of the information they're getting, even though they swear they can manage everything and they know more than us, of course. A recent poll was done in Jamaica between the Observer and UNICEF, and 71% of teens say that social media was hurting their mental health. They declared this. And I'm sure the global statistic doesn't look that much different, right? And so what does that mean? The World Bank is saying no, that education system as it is isn't preparing them for the real world, but it just wasn't designed for this world. The real world has shifted drastically even in the last 15 years. So, you know, it just is real. And as parents, we have to retool our kids. Sleep deprivation is an epidemic among teens. My sister is a triple certified sleep doctor, pediatric sleep doctor. So she specializes in dealing with this age group. She has been a guest expert at the past 2 masterclasses, and that's made a huge difference for teens. And we're gonna get to that and explain how that works. But 75% of teens are not getting enough rest. And when you understand the connection between sleep, their brain development, their learning and their retention, it's such a problem. Their mood control, their emotions, they're distracted, they're shutting down, it's affecting their focus, and their real world challenges that, you know, they are facing. They're not able to self-regulate in light of all of this. As I said, focus is a problem. And without us introducing a way to help them sustainably that they can take control of and feel confident in, they're winging it. That's just the truth. They are. And us telling them to go to bed is clearly not working. Us shouting at them and telling them what to do, because we know, clearly not working. But we know as adults that we struggle with focus sometimes, and we struggle with a lot of things. And just because we know what the right thing to do is doesn't mean we're all gonna do it. And so I just think systems is so important for everyone, but as parents, it is our job to help our kids to build these systems, because it's going to help them right now, but it's really going to help them as adults as well. It's critical for their development at this point. And so when we talk about the teenage brain, I keep saying that, you know, a lot of the issues that I've talked about right now, I work with women on the same things in Goal Accelerator, right? So we're not saying that, you know, these are not problems that affect the whole population, no, because of, you know, all the distractions and all the different things that are going on. There are the rates of anxiety and depression among teens is up, the rates of suicide among teens up, but also generally in the population, that's also up. That's why, side note, mental health as an industry is one of the fastest rising industries right now in terms of jobs, and expected to continue to grow, because this is actually real. But the vulnerability of the teenage brain is the special issue here. It's like the brain is still under construction at this point. And a lot of these issues, we're not talking about this right now, but when we talk about teens now trying substances and going into that whole world, which Jeffrey, my husband, Jeffrey, will be part of the parent session. So he's going to talk about that, touch on that a little bit about, you know, how you talk, how he has experience in, you know, sort of talking about this with Ali, and, you know, he also mentors at the juvenile detention center for the past 5 years. So he has a kind of range of experience, but it's also particularly damaging to the brain. So what some drinks will do to our brain is very different from what, you know, binge drinking does to a teenage brain. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision making, is under construction. So they're not biologically ready to be making some of the decisions. Of course, in the digital world, some of these decisions have consequences that are forever. So and then the brain is more sensitive to digital overload and to sleep loss. The stress disrupts their brain development. And then, of course, they're shaping habits that then follow them through life. So it's a tough situation. And Nevita says, my daughter said that it's too stressful and she's 16. And then there's, yeah, exactly, sleep revenge. And we really do have to pivot. Now, the good news, because there has to be some good news, parents, I'm not bringing you here to depress you today. The good news is that the teen brain is also highly adaptable. And this is why I am so passionate about intervention now. Because, again, I coach adults. And it's harder to change when you're an adult, okay? It is easier to change when you're a teenager. And that change will be lifelong because your brain is highly adaptable. So with the right systems and the right support and the right strategies, the change can actually happen very fast. And we know this. We've been doing the teen productivity masterclass for 2 years. So we have students who have sustained results from those sessions over the past 2 years. They've changed the way they approach their work. They have changed their sleep. They're pressuring their parents now to get enough sleep. They have split the script and are now teaching their parents the systems. And they're just having a better experience of life. And that's what we want for our kids, right? And so what feels like chaos and hopelessness and stress now for parents, because I heard this quote that, you know, a parent is only as happy as their least happy child. And I could relate, right? Because, yes, we know. That can all turn into clarity and confidence and consistency. And when we teach students the actual systems, the habit stacking, the mindset tools, you know, all these things that can elevate their performance and protect their energy and recover and help them to manage their mind and, you know, help them to build motivation from very deep inside such that they can continue to do the things they need to do, whether they feel motivated in the moment or not. Because intrinsic motivation overall is just different from like in the moment, feel like it motivation. And so when we give them those tools and those clear routines and those success strategies, everything changes. They start to teach you, parents, they start managing themselves. They're not waiting for you to nag them. The mornings become smoother. Amen and hallelujah. When you just, here is a system and I'm going to help you with it. I asked my daughter, Laura, and I told her, you know, she's been to the last 2 productivity class. She's going to be working this one. And so I was talking to her about it, and she just said, you know, parents need to understand that it's not the same as when they were our age. I mean, she was talking to me, she says, that was almost 30 years ago. Of course, I was like, no, it was not. Immediately I recoiled, because clearly that's impossible. But when I did the math, she's completely correct. It was 30 years, almost 30 years ago that I was 13. In any case, she said, parents just need to understand that, like, they can't just yell at us. They need to help, they need to work with us. Sorry, quote. They can't just yell at us, they need to work with us. So when we show them the systems and we position ourselves as more partners in this process, everything just gets more strategic. The confidence grows out of that process, because confidence is just not something you can just teach. It comes through doing. It comes through seeing that when you change the way you approach certain things, you actually can control the results you get. That builds the confidence. And so everyone breathes easier. All your marriage get better. And first of all, my husband tired to hear me complain about picnic. And I mean, I just get very miserable. And, you know, trust me, everything gets better and it becomes more of a partnership situation with your child, which is definitely where we want to be headed. So let me get to the framework. Let me get to the framework that we are teaching in this masterclass. And by the way, parents, there is a 2-hour session for you, because that's co-led by my husband, Jeffrey, and I. And I'll tell you more about it at the end, but just know that this is a partnership. And for the past 2 years, we focused on the child only, on the teens only. And this is the first year we're having a parent breakout for an hour and a half, 2 hours, because we see how important it is for parents now to really match that energy in specific ways that actually work. So anyway, step 1, mindset and resilience. I already talked about the fact that parents will want to model the behavior we seek, right? So when I go through difficult times, you know, when I'm almost through the difficult time, and when I learn life lessons and when I have to do hard things, I talk to my kids about that. I do. Because they need to see that this is life, you know. And I told you about my stepdaughter, Ali, and what it was like to sort of guide her through building that backbone that I knew she needed, we knew she needed, you know, for life. But the first step is raw reality. And that's the first step of our real systems thinker. You have to face the world as it is. You have to face the situation as it is, not the way you would like it to be. So you have to face the raw reality and feel it. So telling our kids hard truth. So when Ali was completely devastated about what happened with the award ceremony, you know, we had to just say, well, do you think you did the level of work at the intensity necessary to deserve these awards? Of course, you might feel bad to say it in the moment when she's all disappointed and whatever, but again, gently, and you have to put it out there. Do you think you did the work to get the result you see others having that you want? Right? Helping them to face the raw reality. You do not want to do the SAT again. I understand you're disappointed that you're doing it again and your score didn't move. But this happens, this is not just a you thing, this happens, and you have to stay in the game. If you say you want to go to these schools at $100,000 a year, because we're not gonna pay it, because we don't have it. So what's the plan? Do you know what I mean? In other words, facing raw reality. They said that all stress is caused from wanting the present moment to be something that it is not. And it is extremely important for us to understand that as parents and for us to help our kids understand that. And we talk about that with them. But if you try to change or wish the present moment to be something different than what it is, you're going to drive yourself insane. See, so that doesn't work. You have to face the raw reality. And we can't be shielding our kids from that because we're not doing them any favors. Then it's the reframe. So we teach kids in this system that look, because our mindset system that look, everything is a story. Everything is a story. All your thoughts, they're not facts. I remember when we taught this at the last masterclass, you could see the aha moments take over these kids because they're out here believing every thought that they have. Their hormones are all over the place. Social media making them think all kind of things. Them having problem with friends, them trying to find themselves. It's a lot going on. So if they're believing every thought that comes to their mind, oh my God, it's difficult, right? You don't have to believe the thoughts that you have are not true. They're not all true. Just because you think them don't make them true. Are they provable in a court of law? It's all stories. Oh, the reason that they didn't add me to that that friend group on Snapchat, because that's a thing. Or the reason that they have a term for it on Snapchat, I can't remember what it's called, but they viewed the story my story partially, but or viewed my message and then didn't answer, and this is because this and that's a story as well. And you didn't get this award that you wanted. You have a choice in what story you create about that, and that's going to inform how you feel, because you have the thought, then you have the feeling. The feeling is always preceded by a thought, so we teach them the whole loop. But you don't have to believe the thought. So if you switch the story, you can have a different feeling. So teaching Ali in that moment was like, look, this could either be like, oh my gosh, I'm, not worthy, and, this is just, I'm just not good enough, and all that negative road, you can go down there. Or this could be, thank God I'm learning this lesson as a fifth former, because now I know how I don't want to feel ever again. And this is going to give me the strength and the power to just like kill the game. I'm going to come back stronger than ever. We literally sat down and presented those two options. You have the power to choose whichever story you want. And whichever story you choose is going to determine what happens from here. My girl placed in Cape in the region, not just Jamaica. Please, that means she had the highest economics, the second highest economic score in the region. The same Cape exam she was crying over. So, sorry, the Cape subject she never wants to take, straight A profile. What are you going to make this disappointment or failure mean? And so helping her to reframe in that situation and choose a different story became the stepping stone for her to now get all the awards at the end of sixth form. That's the power of reframing. So that's what we actually teach our kids, and we teach them in the masterclass. And then the second thing is, or the third thing, parents, because we can't go through everything here. We have a whole day with your child, like 10 to 4:30, right? With regular breaks. Is that you have to allow them to go through discomfort, because they have to learn that they can do hard things. Because we know that life is going to give us hard things. So we're not going to rob them of their self-esteem. So yes, you're going to do the ADMAT even though you think it's the worst thing in the world. I believe you're capable. I know you are afraid, but I believe you're capable of this. You can do hard things. Now, then you have to step in with the systems, okay? Because I'm not just going to say you can do hard things, so go and do it by yourself. All right, we're working together. So I see you crying about this ADMAT, meet Mr. Bell. He is the best teacher in the world. Are you working these past papers? Here is the formula. Here is how we're going to do it. We are here to support you. So it's also just being that support. So the systems, giving them support is part of helping them to set up these systems to actually do these hard things. Another instance, again, I love telling these personal stories because it really goes beyond theory. I used to have a style where she would act like exam is the end of the world. Every time she have an exam, the whole house have to be miserable with her. It have to be, every time you see her face long. Any parents can relate, can't be the only one. the face long, is the end of the world, she miserable, the whole house have to be miserable, everybody, you ask her, nothing is 2 words, this, that, woe is me. Hello, 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 it can't work. You are not a victim, okay? And we are not going to play into this story that you are creating here. You need to take some control back in your life. So now, how do we create this environment? Or it doesn't even have to be exams. It could be them overwhelmed and school is so much and this teacher gives too much assignment and this teacher can't teach. And I could go on and on because I know all the stories, and not just from my house. I know the stories from 15 years of coaching kids, right? So it's about saying, no, okay, these are problems. There are some things that aren't in your control. You can't moan and groan about things that aren't in your control. You're going to drive yourself crazy and they'll never be in your control. What's actually in your control? So being able to make that distinction. Now, helping them to create a study structure. I don't like the word timetables. A lot of kids hate it. The timetables don't work for me. That's what they say, right? So it's helping them to create a study structure, some kind of structure that even if they don't stick to it, they can learn exactly. They learn what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Building some kind of system and really showing them the connections of, okay, but this is why it's not working. This is why it's not working. It doesn't mean that a structure is bad. You need a structure, but this is why your structure is not working. So this is what you can try. So we actually go through that exercise and help them to build something out in the masterclass, which I love the timing of this one because right before exams. So they're going to get to try it out and to use it. And so, you know, for Ali, it was also like maybe studying with your phone right beside you where you can see all the notifications is not the best idea, okay? And so how about we leave the phone in there while you come out here to study? So it's showing them the connection, because I remember again, another aha moment in the masterclass when we were able to tell the students, look, your brain takes 20 minutes to refocus after you distract it from whatever you're working on. That's why multitasking doesn't work. This is research. You don't have a special brain, okay? You have a brain like everybody else. It takes 20 minutes to get back your focus after you switch tasks. This is good for parents to understand too. This is why multitasking is a myth, it's a disaster. It put you back. So when we put it to the kids like this, because you have to enroll them, you know, that's what you have to realize. You can't just tell them things. You have to enroll them. So if I said to you, you could study and be finished in an hour, but you are enduring 3 hours of torture. And this is why. And if you stop doing this, you could cut your study time in half and make it more effective and you'd retain more things. You're frightened to see how they'll change their behavior when you enroll them in what it is you need them to do. So the switching costs the brain so much. It's bad for your brain health. Maybe studying your bed is not the best spot because you associate the bed with sleep, okay? For my 14-year-old, planning was a major issue. Had to really pin her down, just scatter, just all over the place, just hot mess express, and then the frustration she'd feel, you know, finally drove her to accept my advice. Because let me tell you something, not becoming an educational consultant, and you hear me coming with all these things. My kids have to have a separate coach at AIM. It's not me. They don't think that I like know things. You know, they need to hear it from somebody else. And I know many parents can relate to that. But you know, I allowed her to feel the consequences, and then I said, okay, do you want the solution? And we were able to work on that. So as I said, in the masterclass, we help them to build out this actual thing. So they leave that class May the 3rd with something tangible that they're going to use in their lives almost immediately, because they're going to be having exams coming up. You have to enroll them. You have to sell the benefits. You have to show them why this is a good idea for them. And so the I work best under pressure. That's why I need to leave everything to the last minute, you know, is a myth. And we bust that myth wide open. Oh, I don't need that much sleep. I work better when, you know, when I work till 2 a.m. and then wake up at 5 for school. Swerve, just swerve. But we show them why this is, you know, not the case. I talked about sleep a little. As I said, my triple certified sleep doctor will be in the room. I think this is where parents need to take a hard line, depending on what age your child is. I know some parents have Wi-Fi control, so there's a time where the Wi-Fi goes off and their kids don't have data on their phone. For me, with my daughter, she has to turn in her phone at a certain time, and that's just the end of it. So we're not going to be having your phone distracting you from your sleep. And then I do spot checks. I pray a lot, so I ask my spirit to tell me when I just get up, spot check, open the door. What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be asleep? But these are, my kids are younger. But for older kids, as I said, and for all kids, the best thing to do is enroll them. You have to enroll them so they want to do it themselves, so it doesn't become you being the police and bawling after them. Because as I was telling the Wilma's parents this morning, if bawling after Picnic did work, then none of us would be in this session right now, because we would be winning. Because we know how to bawl after Picnic. For sure. We know how to yell at kids. Like, that is not our problem, okay? And the problem is it doesn't actually work. My son, who is 12, pressure me until I gave him my phone. I didn't like how he responded to it. I could just see the digital addiction all over him, so I just take it back. And him vex, and that's okay, So you have to depending on the age, this is where we take the hard line, because the devices ruin sleep. So anyway, the sleep doctor comes in, she talks to the kids, she's on their level, she talks to them about why this might be in their interest, and by the time they leave, they are then coaching their parents on why the parents need to be sleeping. Okay. Because they all want to feel better, they want to have better mood, they want to remember what they studied, they don't want to be reading one page, and then when they finish read the page, they can't remember what they read, so they have to start reading it over. It's a lot of it's a lot of things that they want, that we can show them how changing behavior will help them. And then the last part of the 4-part system now is the vision and the motivation. Type a yes if you have ever heard from your child, I just don't know what I want. I just don't know. And you just feel like they're kind of rudderless ship, right? It's a problem, okay? It is a problem. So we really help them to dig deep. So as a bonus to this masterclass, there's a separate vision board session where this is not my specialty, this is my thing. I've been doing this work for the past like 13 years. I am the vision board queen. And I've been working teams on vision boards almost as early as AIM started. I have a young man that I always talk about him. He works at Google now. And I remember when he was like 16, Google was the biggest thing on his vision board. And you best believe he's at Google now. I just was with a sixth former who at Immaculate. By this point now, I've seen these kids from first form all the way through, because I'm always going to schools. I said, I remember when you came and I was in second form, and then you did the vision board session with us. And then I built my vision board, and it's guided me through high school. And now I'm going to dentist. I'm going to be a dentist. I just got into dentistry, and it goes on and on. And this is all from the power of one single vision board, right? And there is a science to this. And I will just get emotional, excited, chat all day, all night. You just have to trust me on this one. It is a total game changer. And for the women in here who are in Goal Accelerator, who've done it for themselves, they know the impact. And that's a separate bonus that we were offering early bird registrants. Early bird registration is done, but we are extending it to everybody who is in here now. So your child will get a separate session that digs deep into that, but we're going to do some work on that in the masterclass as well. And that clarity for them changes the game, because you can't give them a vision. You can't just give them your vision for them. Again, we just do it. They wouldn't be here. So we really need to help them to have something in mind, so then they can connect their actions now to that vision and what they actually want for themselves. And then they're working backwards, because that itself is a system as well. And yeah, that's the best part. I love this for them. And I just get so excited. I absolutely love it. The masterclass is May the 3rd. Sharika and Cornell from our AIM team should be here, so they can drop the link right now in the chat with the discount code if you want to go ahead and get registered. We have a parent here, Janine, who has so graciously agreed to talk to you. Janine, I really appreciate you so much. I have to tell you, I love you. I appreciate you coming to share today with our parents. Janine's daughter, Asia, has done the productivity masterclass twice, I believe, and as well as the vision board session, and is an aimer. And I just wanted Janine to really share with everyone about, what was really happening with Asia before AIM, what were you sort of most concerned about, and then what you could see change after the masterclass, and why would you tell any parent that this is something they should not sleep on and should do immediately?
All right, good evening, everyone. I am so happy to be here.
We're not hearing you, Jenny,
AIM,
but I can see that you're talking.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, everyone can hear Jenny? Okay, great. Perfect. Sorry, I wasn't. Oh, okay. That was my problem. Jenny, go ahead. I'm now hearing.
Okay. So before AIM, I actually came to AIM because, as a millennial mom and also new to navigating the college atmosphere in North America, because I'm a UE grad. And so I was more familiar with that. But when it in schools in North America, and juggling on a daily, I just knew that I may possibly mess it up, right? And so I decided to enlist the professionals after seeing the results of AIM. So I gladly signed Asia up, who's my daughter, and she's now in grade 12. And I can tell you it has been one of the best investments of my life. The entire college process, I really had a hands-off approach. She met with her counselor. They went through most of the application. They tapped into me when they needed to tap into me. And I felt a sense of relief because I knew for sure that she was on the right path. Now, in terms of the productivity sessions, when the first one was offered, I said to Asia, you're going to this productivity session, because I had already been a part of the Goal Accelerator Club. So I was very familiar with what Nicole's teachings are. And I was learning things at the grand age of 40 that I wish I had learned at the age of 16. And I knew for sure if I had learned those things, life would have been much easier for me. So I was like, if I can impart that to my child at a younger age and get her building her systems and getting into proper routines and habits, then I'm going to do that. So she didn't have a choice. I enrolled her and I sent her along her way. But the surprising part about it is after the very first productivity session, it's the change that I saw. One of the major areas of challenge I had with her was sleep, because every time it's, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'm like, it's bedtime, you should be going to bed. It's like I'm met with this resistance. Oh, I'm finishing up my homework, or I'm doing this or whatever. And then the next morning, everybody is tired and irritable, and my house is like a war zone, right? And so after that very first productivity session that she went to, as soon as she came off the call, she's like, Mommy, do you know that, as a teenager, I need X amount of hours of sleep? And I was like, okay, I must be speaking German because I did tell you need sleep. But I realized that with our kids, they hear us so often that when we say things to them, they just filter it through, right? But when it comes from someone else who they know, they don't really know them. They just know the facts. I feel like it's better received. And from since then, she's been going to bed on time. Like, I don't have to tell her when to go to bed. She has basically set her schedule so that she has her required amount of sleep. And I remember one morning I was yelling, as Nicole said, we are good at that. And she said to me, Mommy, maybe you should go to bed a little earlier. You're a little irritable in the mornings. It's probably because of your sleep. So I found that to be really funny. But from that first productivity session, I did see a change in more than just her sleep patterns, the way in which she time blocked to do her studies, the way in which her mindset seemed to have changed a bit, because I know that they spoke about, the lies that they tell themselves with these limiting beliefs, and that was really helpful. So the next time around when I saw the productivity session advertised, I was like, do you want to go back? And this time she said yes. Like, I didn't even have to force her for this one. She went back and she also did the vision board class, which was awesome for me, because when the vision board class was finished and she shared with me her vision board, there were things on that board that I would have never guessed were her goals. Like, we tend to know the big goals, right? The overall goals, but there are some smaller, more important goals that, our children are carrying dreams that sometimes we don't even know. And for me, that vision board session cemented that. I was blown away by, the things that were really on her heart and what she has put on that board. And I have been seeing those things come to pass. And I know that that is now teaching her, the power of I can. That once I can visualize it, once I could conceptualize it, and once I work towards it, it's a possibility. So for me, overall, the productivity sessions and the vision board sessions were welcome additions for me as a parent. I am a firm believer that we cannot raise our children alone. And I'm a firm believer of enlisting help, because I do not know everything. Parenting didn't come with a manual. And so she is my first. And so this is like trial and error right now. And so I was very happy that, God aligned me with AIM, and that Asia has benefited so greatly from it. And for the parents that are on the call, if you're on the fence, wondering, should I do this, should I not? Let me tell you the difference that these simple truths make in your life, even as an adult, is mind-blowing. My entire life leveled up from me just realizing that a lot of things that I thought my mindset was limiting me from achieving. So just imagine when we impart that to our children. So this is definitely something that you should do, and I guarantee you, you will not regret it.
Thank you so much, Janine, for sharing that. It's always such a moment to hear the impact and to sort of, because, we're not in your house on the daily, but that's really where the impact is felt. And, harmony in the household is just good for every member of the household. And I can attest to this, just because, having an older child who was going through specific challenges, and then having the younger ones, and then it's just a whole family dynamic. And so very funny that your daughter is now telling you about your irritability and your sleep. We all need reminders, so it's also great to turn them into our own mini coaches. There is nothing wrong with that. So in the masterclass, just to let you know what you get, the teens get these workshops where they learn all these systems. I am teaching, Chelsea from our team is also teaching. She has lived this. She has undergrad and master's from Johns Hopkins, and is truly resilient. She coaches teams in this as well. We also have another counselor who will be coaching with a neuroscience master's and background. So we're only bringing you, and that's from Wesleyan, we're bringing you the best, the top tier. And I have trained them. And so they'll be delivering. As I said, my husband and I will be hosting the parent workshop. And then there is a breakout session on mental health and resilience. And Jeffrey's going to take the boys, and then we're going to have the girls. And this is not the subject of this particular session, but for parents with boys, okay? Parents with boys need to understand that. I don't even know where to begin. Boys need special, you can't just talk to them like they're girls. They're different. They need different types of support. Their challenges are also different. They respond differently. They need specialized support. So we're happy to have that breakout session, which is just absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. We need to have a different session dealing with boys, because they need us to step up for them in some serious ways. The narrative that's so popular now really does nothing for their self-esteem. And I'm very passionate about this. So anyway, then we have the 2-hour parent workshop, as I said, which we're running at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The kids will leave with a whole toolkit. We have the vision board session for them, which is a bonus. They'll have Q&A with the live coaching. As I said, they're leaving with a plan, a tangible plan. And then big announcement. Victoria Mutual has come on as a sponsor, and they're giving every single student a wealth builder account with $50 in it. And they're going to be talking about the importance of just the financial piece. Like, this is a skill that kids need to build, because, you know, right now, building that acumen from now, I mean, how many of us parents wish that somebody had really gotten through to us about how money actually works and how important it is to start stacking the money early. Listen. Let me not get in spirit here. It's so important. So every single child, I repeat, I did not stutter, who is registered for this session will get a VM, the chance to open a VM wealth account that VM is endowing, Victoria Mutual is endowing with $50. This is huge. This is massive. This hasn't even been announced yet. You are the first to know. I'm excited because we're packing massive value into this session, and we have other sponsors and partners that you're gonna hear more about, and some of you will get stuff from, and so this is really exciting. But the most important thing is that they leave with real breakthroughs that change the game for them and for you and for the host. So how do you get in? You're gonna click the link, aimonlineacademy.com/masterclass. And once you click the link, you are then going to enter the code Masterclass25. Now, I gotta tell you, this code is only going to be valid for the next 24 hours. If you try to use the code after 24 hours, it is not going to work. The code expires in 24 hours. So you're rewarded for taking quick action. The other part I need to tell you is that we are 65% sold out on in-person tickets. So if you're hoping for your child to come in person to the AC Hotel Kingston, then you need to grab your ticket now. The other thing I need to tell you is that the online experience is a professionally facilitated experience. So it's not just us randomly connecting Zoom and you hope you're here. This is a professionally facilitated experience with online facilitators that are assigned to a certain ratio of students, so that when we do the breakout rooms and they have the interactive sessions and we ask them to answer questions and do workbooks and all those things, that the online experience mimics the in-person experience, and that there's seamless communication between the online people and the real life people. People have made great friends out of this vision board. My niece, who was in the last, out of this productivity masterclass, my niece was in the last one. She actually became friends with a student from the UK who was on Zoom and was participating. So they got to know each other off that, and it was just amazing. So, you know, friendships are born here, and I just want to be clear that the online experience is professionally facilitated. It is well thought out. We are experts at creating online experiences for kids because our whole business runs online. We do online classes for tutoring, SAT, all kinds of things. So we know how to make an online learning experience proper. So it's not, you know, and with the breaks and the interactivity, and we have it under control. So just to give you the code again, oh, it's not clickable. It's clickable when I send it. I'm not sure. Just, you can copy and paste the link into your browser. I don't know how to put it in a URL slot. I didn't learn that in Zoom school. I need to learn that. I don't know what that means. But we have 4 questions that I want to get to. Annalise just signed up her son. How exciting. Welcome, Annalise. Welcome to you and welcome to your son. We're so excited to have you. And Donica said she could click it. So maybe try again. All right. So now it's time for questions. So we are going to move to the Q&A. All right. I've spoken to my daughter about some of these principles, but she has challenged from moving, knowing it's a story, and choosing not to believe the story. Will the workshop help to execute the reframing process? Yes. we've been successful in helping students to implement the systems. We go through different kind of scenarios, and they sort of all share, but it is, we try to help them to identify because a lot of them have recurring negative thoughts. So we help them to identify the ones that come up for them the most. And then we help them to identify a story that's more believable. So, you know, we go to the middle of the thought with them. It's not about like saying, well, just believe the opposite, because your brain is not just going to believe the opposite, right? So we work with them to help them identify a story that they also can believe. So for her, maybe it's that she just hasn't found another story, another reframe that's actually believable to her. Maybe her reframe is so far away from what she believes right now that it just can't penetrate. That's what happens when they try to, oh, I'm the best person, I'm the best in the world, from, oh my God, I'm so popular. Like, so it can't be those extremes. So I think that our methodology really helps that. Have you worked with students who are on the autism spectrum and are high functioning? We have worked with them in the AIM context, but I just want to be clear that that's not our specialty, just for full disclosure. Very highly motivated academically, but fearful of social interactions, fearful of failure and trying new things. Also has challenges with sleep. My question is like, will a session like this benefit a child like this, or would she benefit more from a one-on-one consult? So we do have one-on-one programs that work through everything that we have shared here on a one-on-one basis with students. So, I mean, you could try the group session. Lots of kids do benefit from it, as you know, but if you, and then people move from the group session into the one-on-one, because we do spend a day with them. It is a game changer, but as Janine pointed out, like just having your child in a structure with accountability, where they're meeting with a coach once a month, is also going to help these things stick. So we'll also be able to admit students to those programs after the masterclass. So how do we build resilience in these kids? Resilience, is also just going through, helping them to move through challenging experiences is how you build resilience. Helping them to see their past challenges differently, to think about what would a resilience building action look like, and then helping them to apply that when the challenge actually comes up. So that's some of the ways, but we go through a bunch of different things. My sons are always complaining that I force them to do things of the nature, things I consider good for their development. So I have a parent who actually, she did a testimonial. I'll post it tomorrow, should have shared it here. And she was like, I told my son to come to the productivity masterclass, and he said he didn't need it. And then I insisted. And when he came back, he was like, Mom, thank you for sending me there, especially the section about mental health. And so we do get resistance. So everybody who, and that's the first thing, we just identify the elephant in the room. The first thing that we say when we all sit down is like, so what you guys don't really want to be here, and your parents force you, raise your hand. And we have all these kids raising their hands and be like, yeah, my mom forced me to come here. I don't want to be here. I don't think that there's any point. I don't, and so we work through that at the very beginning, because we know the deal, okay? So we definitely know the deal. And so we work on getting their buy-in and enrollment at the very beginning of the session. So thank you for pointing that out, because that's actually quite real. And that's something we face. All right, these sessions don't seem to be aimed at my child who is 18 and in college. No, we are not. This is not for college students. This is for high school kids. So if you do want to do that kind of work, you could explore doing a one-on-one program with us, but we do not. It is not geared toward, it's not geared toward college kids. This is a group activity on May the 3rd. They'll be broken into small groups to do like interactive exercises and workshops, and they'll be broken into small groups to do the interactive elements, but there's no one-on-one on May the 3rd. If you want one-on-one, you can book it. There is availability. You'll be able to get into one-on-one sessions for a year-long program, things like that. But on May the 3rd, this is a group session. All right. I noticed it is on a Saturday. That's correct. It is on a Saturday. And no, this time we do not have a masterclass on a Sunday. It is on a Saturday. The digital recordings are provided, but it's on a Saturday. My child is still turning 13, but would benefit from this. Can I enroll her? And girls do tend to be quite mature. So if you think that this is, you know, as I said, we start at age 13. If you think this is something she can absorb, definitely enroll her. I think it's super beneficial for students who are doing CAPE, but we just are serving younger students at this time. The concepts and the material is super relevant to them. But certainly if I had a CAPE student that I wanted to do it, I would be thinking about how they would be comfortable with a bunch of, you know, it's between ages 13 to 17. So if your child is much older than that, then it might not be a good fit. But if they're in and around that age group, then it's fine. All righty. Thank you guys. Oh, the cost of the masterclass. So the virtual ticket after the discount code is $80, and the in-person ticket after the code is $115. And this is all in US dollar currency. And the in-person class comes with lunch included for your child, and we are at the AC Hotel. All right. I want to thank everyone so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for, oh, we have a question. We do have a question, 8817 after the discount. Yes, thank you. We have a question about the parent session. So we want to answer that. So what does the parent session? The parent session is 1.5 to 2 hours. It's going to help you to understand, you know, the depth of what your child is learning, how to best support them. We're gonna help you. It's gonna include like a personality assessment where you can look at the personality of your child and then your personality and understand how the communication should work, like what's effective communication for your personality type in relation to their personality type, which will create more harmony in the household. We will also have more parent strategies for supporting your child in this productivity and wellness journey. And then there's going to be Q&A and just some straight talk about, you know, millennials parenting and us parenting these Gen Zs, and, you know, so there's going to be that Q&A section. The vision board is 100% virtual. So that vision board session is different, is a bonus. It's different from the masterclass, and it is 100% virtual. Great questions, guys. Thank you. This is perfect for kids about to do CXC. This is absolutely perfect and right on time. This is the best investment for kids about to do CXC. I repeat, this is great for them. Absolutely great for them. The discount will be offered up to tonight, and you can definitely have those discussions before purchasing the tickets. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Yes, you'll definitely get a recording of tonight's session. Thank you so much. I will also share the testimonial of the parents. As I said, there, you know, a lot of times when we suggest things to our kids, especially on a Saturday, that doesn't involve, you know, what they want to do, which, you know, may or may not involve a device or exactly what they planned for their Saturday, you get some resistance. And I think it's just really important as parents for us to be able to take the lead on things like this. And, you know, so sometimes I want my kid to do something and I'm like, you're just gonna have to trust me on this one, but we're doing it. And, you know, as I said at the very beginning, we work on enrolling them, and some of them are there, not of their own volition, but of their parents' insistence. And I just think that that's what we do as parents. That's our point. The point of us is to, you know, help them to see things that they can't see, help them to make choices, or choose things for them that they would never choose for themselves, but that we know will be strong choices for them. So that's super important. Parents attend the parent workshop. For the parent workshop in person, only one parent is allowed. If the second parent needs to come, as long as we have space, there would be an additional fee. For virtual, it's both parents can certainly come to virtual. You don't have to worry. If it's virtual, both parents can come to that workshop. Not to worry. Okay. All righty. Thank you. Sharon says great session. Thank you guys so much. If you could just, before you leave, because we are going to share this with the wider community, share the replay. If you could just tell us you know, what word comes to mind to describe the session that we just had. Or, you know, if a phrase comes to mind, that way we can just share sort of this feedback with other parents who need to take this masterclass and might not know that they need to take it. So we appreciate you. We thank you for being here, for your energy, for all of this feedback that we're going to use to help more parents. I think we need to elevate this conversation. I think we need more of this. I think we need to definitely give our kids the tools to just, because let me tell you, let me end by telling you this. Don't believe that Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, and all the things, they are paying billions of dollars to learn how to capture your child's attention and ours. Let me repeat, they are spending billions of dollars on neuroscientists and psychologists and behavior specialists and, you know, statisticians. They're spending bank to figure out how to capture your teenager. They are investing like hell, okay? So what are we doing as parents? That's what I want to know. We need to counteract, like we need to provide another way. That's just a fact. That is really the bottom line here. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your feedback. God bless you. I hope to meet many of you in person. I hope to meet you online on May the 3rd. Thank you so much. Please share this information, the replay, everything with as many parents as you possibly can. And even if all they do is this info session, if it just helps them to manage what they're managing better, then trust me, it would have been worth it. So I just want to thank you again. If you need any help, Cornell is here to help you. Let's say you have any questions after, before you press the buy button, you want to get in before it closes, you have any questions. Cornell is available right now on WhatsApp. He's 876-276-8579. You can send him a WhatsApp message. You can save his number and message him tomorrow. And you know, if you have any questions, you can also share his contact with any of your parent friends that might also have questions. He is super happy to provide support to you, to help you along the way with anything that you might need. I've put his number in the chat. Thank you so much again for everything and for this extremely great feedback, which we are going to be so happy to share starting tomorrow. So thank you so much, and we will hopefully see you soon. Take care.